Welcome to Heroes First Podcast, sponsored by Fund the First, the nation's leading verified crowdfunding platform for first responders, military, and medical professionals. And now, your host, broadcasting from Long Island, New York, Robert Garland.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining this week's episode of Heroes First Podcast. Each week, you will hear from a new guest that portrays excellence in the first responder, military, or medical professional field. If you are an active or retired member of the service, or even a family member or a friend, then this show is for you. Our show is now proudly part of the Everyday Heroes Podcast Network. I would like to now present to you our guest for episode 12 of this podcast series, Michelle Panetta. Michelle, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me, Rob.
No, it's a pleasure. You know, I love to have one of the first partners on the show, and obviously other first responders on the show as well, to really, broaden our reach and let other people know that everyone has a different story to tell. And it's always important to bring different people on the show and talk about different things. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about how we connected. I think, where was it? Was it an event or was it through Kevin? I can't even remember.
I think it was through Kevin at first, but I saw you at Mike Giraldi's funeral.
Right.
When we started talking, and then I officially met all you guys at Strikeout Suicide.
Right, and that was a great event that you held over there. Why don't you talk about that for a second? That's something that you do every single year.
Yes, so Strikeout Suicide is actually something that we started in 2018. It is a softball tournament that is played by law enforcement officers to raise suicide and mental health awareness. And the beauty of this game is that we get to honor the officers who died by suicide and remind those that are still struggling that they're not alone. So it's to really just bring everybody together and to bring the families together as well.
And that's part of your nonprofit organization, Beyond the Badge New York.
Yes.
So Beyond the Badge was formed, obviously a lot of these things, they're always formed out of hardships. But the best thing is when it is formed out of a hardship, it brings to light a lot of things and it helps out a lot of people. And what you're doing is an incredible mission. And I can see you taking a deep breath because it is hard. It's hard to talk about. So, unfortunately, there was a tragic suicide, someone that you were close with. Let's hear about what went into developing Beyond the Badge, and what's your mission and how are you helping others?
Sure. So Beyond the Badge is honestly, and I try not to cry every time I talk about it, it is so near and dear to our hearts. So I run Beyond the Badge New York with my husband, Chris. Chris is an NYPD detective. In 2018, January 5th, Chris and I got married. And at our wedding was Chris's childhood friend and fellow NYPD officer from the 106 precinct, Nicholas Mancaroni. Everything was great. I mean, happy, fun times at the wedding. Went on our honeymoon. We came home. And on January 25th, I got a phone call from Chris that I can still hear in my head very vividly to this day, saying that Nick had died by suicide. And you try to think what happened in 20 days, what changed. But we spent months after the wedding, talking to people and saying, did you notice anything? Was anything different at the wedding? Did you say anything? And everybody kind of just said the same thing. No, he was just Nick, his normal, happy, joking, laughing self. So it was rough for the first few months. I can say, I remember going to it wasn't even like a wake. It was more of just kind of a quick service because he was being buried out of state. And I've gone to police funerals in the past, and you kind of stand in the back and there's a ton of people and you don't really see anything, but you're there to show your support. And I remember going to the funeral parlor and seeing Nick on a shipping crate, and everybody said, we got to go outside. You have to line up. And I remember telling them, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not NYPD. I don't have to go outside. And they were like, it doesn't matter where you're a cop. Like, you have to go outside. So I went outside, and I will stand by my husband every day of his life, but I never want to have to stand next to him again in something like this. And seeing our friend, be the one that's in that hearse and standing there, your head started to go in so many different directions, and the wheels just started turning in mine. And I thought to myself, this is only the second or third time that I've seen something like this. Like, how has Chris done this so many years? So as the months kind of went on, me and Chris were trying to grieve through this process. And then there was more suicides. There was 1 and 2 and 3, and it got up to like 10, for the year. And me and Chris were just like, nobody should ever have to feel this pain again. So we decided to create Beyond the Badge to raise that suicide and mental health awareness, to really try to break the stigma surrounding officers coming forward for mental health treatment so they can get the help that they deserve. So families and friends, don't have to feel the pain that me, Chris, Nick's family, and all of his, friends felt.
That's wonderful what you're doing. And it's so true with the stigma. And a lot of people, and you know this, especially you're a probation officer, your husband's a detective, it's very hard to ask for help because of that stigma. People don't want to be involved with these things. They don't want to put themselves out there and ask for help because, we end up getting put on the pedestal, and it's almost like a bad light comes on us when someone needs help. And that's not how it should be at all.
No, I always tell people the hardest things that you can honestly say is I need help. But at the same time, as much as it's hard and people look at it in a negative way, thinking like you're weak, you're actually extremely strong when you say I need help.
Yeah, you're stronger than the next person. Absolutely. Because it takes a lot to ask for help. It really does. It really does. But listen, what you're doing, and you're that extra, person next to somebody that really needs the help. And it's something that we all have to look at all the time. And you never know who's right next to you and who actually needs that help. Yeah. And so what you're doing through Beyond the Badge is absolutely incredible. Actually, I want to show the website and throw it up on the screen for a second for any of our viewers that are going to be watching on YouTube. Eventually, I know we mentioned this and you messaged me before. Eventually, I will do the live videos. That's something that I do want to do. I have the whole streaming service, everything set up, but I'm always very nervous to do the live ones because I got little ones running around.
Yes, which your little ones are the cutest. I have to say.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So let's throw up the website. So let's see. Can you see it full screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So beautiful website. You got your nice. Where'd you come up with this logo? I love it. I think it's so, you know what? Beyond the badge and how you put the in gold, it looks great.
That is all Chris. I can't even take credit for that. That is like 100% Chris. When we thought about the name for the charity and, the logo, Beyond the Badge, we want people to know that there is life beyond the badge. There are things, beyond the job to look forward to and to strive for. So that was how we came up with the name. But the logo, it's not just police officers that struggle. It's all, law enforcement and military. So we wanted to have the American flag in there because there's a lot of military who are law enforcement officers now. They went from serving their country to kind of serving their community. So we wanted to incorporate, everything plus the blue line for the morning bands for when we lose somebody.
Right. So now this is your the Nicholas Mancaroni Memorial Scholarship. So if anyone wants to donate, I know you guys do have a campaign on Fund the First as well for this, but also through the website beyondthebadgenewyork.org, you could donate to help with the scholarship program that they've put together due to Nicholas's death by suicide on January 25th of 2019. The filing period is actually now, right? It's March 1st through May 31st.
Yes.
So if anybody's interested in an application, definitely visit beyondthebadgenewyork.org. And as well, you guys are also hosting a cigars and casino night.
Yes.
Pretty cool. And how'd you get around that?
We figured people needed a night out after COVID and just everything that's kind of been going on. So, we just wanted to have fun, have a night where you can just hang out with your coworkers and your friends or your family, and just kind of forget the stresses of the job for a little bit.
And this is at Westbury Manor, 1100 Jericho Turnpike, Westbury, New York. So there were no issues with hosting this? Is there an amount of people that could only be there? Oh, only 150 tickets?
Yeah, we only also have 150 because this is New York State guideline. One thing that we do with all our events, we are extremely COVID safe with everything just because we know that a lot of people, nobody wants to get sick, but for Chris, as an example, Chris has 9/11 health conditions. So I'm always very cautious with, Chris's stuff. So I always want to make sure that, our safety for others is there. as
That's
well.
great.
We don't want anybody to,
Good.
to get sick.
Yeah, everyone has a different stance on what's going around with COVID. So, it's always best to just, be
You're
on
on
the
the
cautious side.
side.
It's always best with that. But if anyone's interested in the Cigars and Casino Night with Beyond the Badge New York, definitely visit their website as well. Buy a ticket. I'm not a big cigar smoker, so I'll probably choke in there.
No, so that was the other thing. All cigar smoking is done outside. There's absolutely no
Okay.
cigar smoking inside, because again, there are people who, want to have a night out and have some fun, but they don't smoke cigars. So we don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable, or people who do have, like I said, breathing problems and whatnot. So I've made sure to take all routes possible.
Very, very, very good. So I'll look into that. Maybe I'll join. Maybe I will join. So you have a lot of other suicide prevention things: Blue Help, First Help, Copline, New York Leap. These are a lot of other great organizations that you're involved with as well. Other partners, which is great. Oh, Fund the First. Look at that. All right. No, so your website's great. You got your whole about. If anyone wants to visit, definitely check out the website. You can see Nicholas over here. So tragic, so sad.
The scholarship honestly is probably our proudest moment. But I have to say, typing it and everything was like, okay, we're making the scholarship. And then I put it on the website, and I just, seeing his face on the screen made it so much more real.
Yeah, no, it's sad. It really is sad. And I see how you have, would you like to apply for the scholarship? So you have, to be considered for this scholarship, you must meet the following criteria: law enforcement parent, guardian who has died by suicide, high school senior or college undergraduate, a minimum GPA of 2.5, 500-word essay, overcoming life struggles. So if anyone's going through, and I just got chills thinking about it, if anyone's going through those things, they're definitely going to have a larger essay than 500 words, overcoming life struggles. But listen, it's great that you guys are here, what you're doing. I'm going to stop sharing the screen for right now. And thank you, Michelle. Really, honestly, when I met you for the first time, I actually met you, I felt like I knew you forever because of what you're doing. And it's really great. And the softball event, that's incredible. So nice. You had, oh man, at that event, you must have had, there had to have been 500, 600, 700 people there.
There's a lot of people.
There were a lot of people, and that was great. A lot of people, and unfortunately, because of Giraldi and a lot of other people, things that happened. But with you giving back to everyone with all these things, it's great. So let's change topics for a moment. So you're a probation officer in Nassau County.
Yes.
Which is awesome. But you've only been on the job for what, 4 years?
I started in 2016.
Okay, so you're going on your 5th year. Yeah. So now, did your husband, was he the reason why you wanted to get into the law enforcement field?
So I always wanted to be a law enforcement type capacity. Since I was a kid, I have a cousin, Andrea, who's a federal probation officer. So I was about 6 or 7 years younger. So I was that typical, annoying little cousin who, I was like, I want to do everything that she's doing. I want to, watch her study and just everything. So she was kind of my motivation for probation per se. But, as the years went on, you take all these tests, like police tests and whatnot, and nothing was panning out at the moment. So I went on to make this completely different career as an anti-money laundering investigator. And then I met Chris. And when I met Chris is very humble. He doesn't talk about much about his career, everything that he's done. But when we bought our house, Chris was taking out all these plaques and these awards and everything. And I'm like, what is all this? And he's like, I got this, I got that. He was so humble about it. And I just remember seeing cards that he got from kids when he was in 9/11 and different stuff. And it really made me realize that he's done so much and he's affected so many people's lives in the last 21 years that I was like, you know what? I have it in me to do that too. I just knew that I could be more than I was. So I was so nervous when they called, but Chris was like, you got this. He's like, I'm telling you, he's like, you'll be great. I really Chris was really my reason for moving forward. If I wasn't with Chris, I probably wouldn't have taken the chance. I've always been kind of a play it safe kind of girl my whole entire life. where, Chris kind of like teaches me to like take risks sometimes. So yeah, I would have to say that Chris is definitely my motivation.
That's great. When I met Chris and he got over 20 years on the job, I was like, what? I thought he was young. you
Yeah.
know, I thought he was so much younger. I thought he had like maybe my time, 13 years.
Yeah, no, he just completed 21, started 22
Wow,
March 1st.
that's awesome.
It's
He's got to
crazy.
retire. It's time to retire.
I know. I tell him, I tell him all the time, the choice is yours. The choice is yours.
Yeah. You said something just now about risk, and it's so true. Everyone has to take risk in their life, because you don't know what's going to happen, and you have to fail in life as well. Unfortunately, in order for you to succeed, we have to fail.
Mhm.
And you took a risk and you formed a nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
You took a risk and you became a law enforcement officer, and look at all the good that you're doing.
Yeah,
It's
no,
really, it's incredible. It's great.
and the funny part is that I also teach. I'm an adjunct professor.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So where's that, at Nassau County at community
At
college?
community college, and it was
So what do
just
you teach?
I teach criminal justice.
Okay.
And I always said, I was like, oh, if I don't become a law enforcement officer, I'll just teach criminal justice. And then somehow, like, I got both jobs at the same time. I was like, what? Okay.
That works. So
Yeah.
how is that being a professor? I hated my professors in college.
So my students, like, I'm not like tooting my own horn, but I must be decent because every semester I literally get like the same students coming back. So
Oh, wow.
I like to think that I'm
Okay.
a decent teacher, but honestly, no. I mean, for me, I think after going to community college and then going for, my bachelor's and my master's, and I always went to school full time, like while I was working. So I kind of liked the teachers who were more like animated and, told you like real life stories and stuff like that. So I always said to myself, like, if I was going to become a teacher, I was going to be like my professor, his name is Professor Grunin or Dr. Grunin. I had him at CW Post. The man was like, he was crazy, but he was like the best teacher ever. I learned so much from him and I loved going to school. And I could work like 9-10 hours and still go to school. And I was like, this is great. Like, I didn't care. So I totally took like all his practices, with me. So now teaching, I'm all about, real life teaching. I don't believe in teaching out of a textbook. I really try to teach my students both
Especially
sides of things.
with what a lot of these colleges are trying to push right now.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in, and I tell my students this, I don't teach one side. And I
Mhm.
don't believe in teaching one side only because you really have to know all facets of law enforcement. And you know what? Like, let's be real. Not everybody is not everybody is 100%. And that's just the reality of it. And I try to teach my students, there are amazing officers on the job and you can't judge everybody for an action of one or two. So, I try to incorporate everything and I let them talk about everything, and I tell them we can have open discussions, but, you just have to be respectful and you have to be mindful because you never know what you say can trigger somebody else or you don't know what somebody's going through. So I really try to keep like open lines of communication and they ask me like tons of questions and I just tell them like, I'm just real with it. I don't believe in sugarcoating it. I talk about mental health in the job. I talk about, Nick suicide with the job. I talk about the good parts, bad parts. Because so many people are like, I just want to be a cop. And I don't think, for me personally, I wish somebody would have given me more of what the emotional part of it was, because I feel like that's a huge struggle for me. Even though as a probation officer, I still feel like I struggle with the emotional aspects of the job.
No, it's a good point. And following your previous professor and getting guidance from them is always great. I'll tell you actually a quick funny story that I haven't told anybody yet about this. So myself, Michael, and John from Fund the First, we all went to college and we played baseball together in New York Tech.
Oh, awesome.
And Michael studied accounting, and me and John, we were in behavioral sciences. So John and I were in a lot of the same classes. And for years, for all of our years there, we had this professor, Professor Mulrain, who happened to be a lieutenant in the Nassau County Police Department. So he knew that both of us were going to go into the law enforcement field. And when I tell you, I didn't pay attention to any of his classes because he was so boring.
Oh, no.
I didn't pay attention at all. After class, he was awesome, but just his classes, I just got so bored. I don't know why. He had like this really soothing, deep voice, and I got bored. So I didn't pay attention. And professor, if you're listening, I don't mean to say that you're boring, but the classes were boring. But John always paid attention, and I would always on test days sit next to him and tell him to scoot over his paper, and I'd be watching. I take all his answers and I change like one or two just so I could, make it seem like I didn't take his answers or cheat, so to say. Right. So senior year, I was graduating, and John and I both graduated with higher standards. And that class, I ended up getting a B minus. And I said to him, I said, "You're the only class." And I go, "Professor Lorraine, you're the only class that I don't have an A in. If somehow I could do an extra credit assignment to get an A, it would be great." And he looks at me and he goes, "You've been getting extra credit all your years here at New York Tech. You've been copying your test off of John the entire time. Don't think I didn't know." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll take the B minus." So
Oh my God, that's great.
it was really funny. And now, a few weeks ago, John calls me. He's like, "I got to tell you something. Mulrain was actually in John's a police officer down in Florida. Mulrain happened to be in John's department for some odd reason.
Oh, wow.
Figured out that John worked there and left him a message." This is 15 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
Leaves John a message, goes, "Hey, Professor Mulrain, please call me." It was so funny. So, John hasn't heard back from him since, but it was just such a weird thing that happened.
No, sadly, mine passed, my professor passed away, but I went back to when I was going for a master's degree. I literally went back to CW Post because I knew that he teached all the master's classes. So I was like, "Oh, I'm going to go there and take all the master's classes." And then sadly, he wound up having cancer. But I mean, this man had sock puppets. Like I was taking tests and he was coming along behind me with like sock puppets. He had a Snagglepuss sock puppet. Like, he would talk about wine. I'm telling you, he was the greatest man ever, and God rest his soul, because I literally learned so much from him, and I absolutely loved college because of him. So he totally is. He's my mentor. He's my reason for teaching. Minus I don't have sock puppets.
Yeah. Who says you can't do it though?
I don't know. My students might think I'm a little crazy, but you never know.
Does Nassau? I know Nassau is a JUCO, so they don't necessarily do it. But when my brother was getting into college, my youngest brother, I'm not going to say what school, but he had to write an admittance paper to get in, and it was on police brutality.
Really?
Oh yeah. They asked him to do it on police brutality.
No, I don't. I mean, I probably wrote something. Yeah, no. I honestly, I try to stay away from certain topics, only because I believe everybody should have their own opinion and be able to have their own thought on certain things. And I just don't like teaching in a certain manner where I feel like people think I'm trying to portray my thoughts or my opinions. So I really keep things open. The one thing that I will say that I do, I make my students write a paper on something that they consider weight in their life. Because a lot of times things that we go through as children or high school and, younger adults, not realizing that maybe these negative things that happen to us can really cause us problems in the long run. And a lot of times, and people don't understand this sometimes, that a lot of people on probation, they're not bad people. They've just had bad things happen to them that they weren't able to kind of get a hold on in their life. And it just triggered more problems.
Right.
So, I try to talk to my students, but a lot of my students, right, like they deal with, anxiety, and they deal with depression, and who's been sexually assaulted at 18 years old. So, younger people are going through like so many real things right now that I honestly love to do stuff like that in class, because I try to flip it and say, okay, if you don't address certain behaviors, how can that potentially lead to criminal behavior? So I try to spin it a little bit.
all the certain behaviors, I guess, of gateways, right? Like a gateway drug.
Correct.
Gateway behavior.
Correct.
And social media plays a big part of that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, everyone's glued. Listen, all day long. I mean, I know because I'm doing it because of business stuff, but I'm also scrolling Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. You're on every Reddit. You're on every single one. Yeah. Yeah, TikTok.
I'm addicted. After a while, Chris will be like, are you still on TikTok?
I just posted a video of my wife on TikTok. She's gonna kill me, but it's going to go viral. My kids were running around in the kitchen with pans on their heads,
Oh,
and
God.
my older guy trips and it fell on her knee. She falls over, and I'm videotaping while this is happening, laughing, just losing it. She picks up a pot and just launches it at me. But somehow I paused the video right before it hit me. I don't know
Oh,
how.
God.
So you see it mid-flight,
Yeah, like slow-mo to your head.
yeah, I put it to that song, the oh no,
Oh, no. That's
yeah.
awesome.
I'll send you it. I'll send you it on Instagram.
That
It's
is
funny. I'm
awesome.
not going to show on the podcast. I mean, even though it's funny, but no, this is great. Michelle, you're doing a lot of incredible things, and
Thank you.
is there anything else? Like, is there anything other? I don't know, other charities that you were thinking of forming, other different types of events. Is there anything in the future for Beyond the Badge New York?
So we are definitely working on, like I said, we have Strikeout Suicide, which is in September 25th of this year. We have a family day that we're working on for family members who lost their officer to suicide, as well as their coworkers and their partners. We really want to bring the officers who have lost somebody and who are struggling together, so people know, sad to say, but when you die by suicide compared to dying in the line of duty, it's completely different. A lot of families feel as if they're forgotten sometimes. So we want to let families know that, look, it doesn't matter how your loved one died. It's all about how they lived. It's how the years of service that they gave to the department, to honor them, to remember them, and to let them know that, they're still not alone either. So we're definitely forming that. And once COVID slows down, whatever we want to consider it at this point now, we are going to start doing some seminars to kind of bridge the whole gap of like family prevention for, to know the signs of if someone is struggling. Because a lot of times we get messages from spouses and family members, and they'll ask us, well, what am I supposed to do? How would I know? And there's no real right or wrong answer to it, but we feel that, the best way to kind of break this stigma is also through education, like educate people on what exactly the signs of PTSD and, how to properly deal with anxiety and, what depression is. And, so many people have this, I feel like, pre-kind notion of like what anxiety looks like, or what people who, suffer from depression look like. And I always kind of like laugh and, I think to myself, I'm like, well, what exactly do you think like anxiety, looks like? And I'm like, well, do I look like anxiety? Because after my line of duty incident, I suffer from anxiety and PTSD. So, that was something since 2019 that I've been dealing with. And on the face of it, like I'm always smiling, I'm always happy. But at the end of the day, I tell people like, this is anxiety. Mm-hmm. So I always like to kind of through education, like not to tell people like, don't judge a book by its cover, because you never really know, what somebody's going through.
It's a great point. Everyone has their shell, and then what's inside.
Like I was literally like panicked for 5 minutes before I got on the call with you, even though I know you.
What was your heart rate at?
I don't know. I got my watch to tell me. Don't worry.
I'm always doing that all day long, checking. Okay, what's my heart rate at now? Okay, what's my oxygen at? Okay, good.
I'll be honest with you. I do check it often, and before I always would get nervous about it, and then I look down, I'm like, oh, I'm okay. I mean, my line of duty incident, I wound up, my heart rate got up to like 230.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, a lot of people, that's one thing that a lot of people don't know about me. I would say is that in 2019, my line of duty incident, like I said, my heart rate got up to 230 after I was, fighting with a defendant and everything else. But yeah, I was shot with some medication in the hospital, in the ambulance, that like stops your heart, restarts it. And again, when I was in the hospital, so 4 days in the hospital, thinking that you had a heart attack I was 32, I think at the time, 33. So, life, you start to look at life very, very differently. So people like, they laugh and they joke around. They're like, you're always checking your heart rate. I'm like, heck yeah, I am.
Yeah. Wow. See, I check my heart rate when I'm on the Peloton, and I
Oh,
freak out when it goes to 160.
oh no, bless your heart. I can never get on the Peloton. My days of the Peloton are definitely I think my cardiologist might be like, no.
No, yeah. Oh man. So there's some things I like to ask, while on the show. First thing I'll ask actually, because we touched on it a little. But would you do this all again? The career path that you've chosen right now in your life, where you are at, would you do it all again? Would you make any changes? Would you do it earlier? Would you not do it at all?
I would definitely do it earlier. And the reason why I say I would do it earlier is to take a job in law enforcement when you're older is very difficult. At 21, a lot of people are, living at home. Their expenses and their responsibilities are a little different. I took this job at 30. So me and Chris already owned a home. You have to pay a mortgage. I took a very large pay cut too, from my old job to go to this. And I would do it again. I mean, I absolutely love being a probation officer. I've helped so many people. So I would never take that back, but I would have loved to got on at 21 and not 30.
Yeah. I hear you.
It's hard.
No, it is. I got on. My wife got on at 21. I got on at 22.
Yeah.
Right out of college. We went
Yeah,
right
that's
in.
right. So that's my only, that's the only thing I really wish for. If it would have came sooner, but on the flip side of that, where I was as a person at 21, I don't know if I would have been as good as an officer.
Right.
Because
Well,
I went
we all
through
change.
so many things between, by 21 to the time I got on the job.
Oh yeah. I mean, if it was today, I would not come on. Just wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd go into the business field, finances, something. I would not.
I do miss the bank though. I'm not going to lie.
Oh yeah, you worked in the bank. That's right.
I do miss banking. I can't even lie about that though.
So, next question. What does a hero mean to you?
A hero to me, honestly, is someone who is willing to kind of just give it all for someone they don't even know. Like if you're willing to put your life on the line every single day for an absolute complete stranger and not even remotely hesitate, that is a hero to me. Like as much as my husband says, no, and he's completely humble, for all the things that I know that Chris has done in his career. Absolutely. He's never once hesitated. And for that, I don't know. I admire him for that.
That's great. That's great. Definitely a lot of love there. A lot of love. I hope he listens.
I try.
So before I ask the last question, is there anything you want to add into the show? I know we gave your website. Is there anything for the listeners? How can they contact you directly, maybe?
So if people want to contact us, they can reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. They can send us a message through our website. Our email is beyondthebadgeny@gmail.com. But honestly, the biggest message that I think I can say to anybody right now is if you are struggling or you feel, anxiety, depression, whatever the case may be, you 100% are not alone. Please talk to somebody, anybody, because you deserve to be happy and you should never have to feel that, suicide is your only option. So just reach out. You're really not alone in this.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be touched by that. And hopefully some people reach out to you that really need it. So I have an idea of what I think your answer is going to be to this next question.
It's not I wasn't going to cry. Geez.
Well, hopefully maybe this one will make you smile a little bit, make you laugh. Because this is the Heroes First podcast and we touched on a lot of hero stuff, we'd also like to ask a little bit of a different question. If you were to have a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, man.
I've had some interesting ones. Definitely some interesting ones.
Oh, Lord.
What was the first thing that popped in your head? Because that's it.
This is probably going to sound so weird, but honestly, like I wish I was able to talk to my godfather and my grandmother, like physically, like they're both deceased. But two like huge influential people in my life. And I almost wish I could like just pick up a phone some days and say like, hey, are you proud of every single thing that like I am doing right now?
I'm sure they will be.
As weird as that probably sounds, that was the first thing that literally popped into my head, like to talk to.
As a superpower.
I mean, that's kind of superpower.
No, it is. I mean, there's actually a lot of TV shows that have that, which is interesting.
Yeah, that is something that I, even like when I go to work, I truly feel that situations that I've been in, I don't know how sometimes they haven't gone like south. Even in my own line of duty incident, I truly feel that those two definitely like had my back in this whole thing.
That's great. Well, Michelle, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
It's so exciting to come on here.
So thank you all for listening to episode 12 of the Heroes First podcast, now part of the Everyday Heroes podcast network. Thank you, Michelle, for being our guest on this show, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks, Rob.
You've been listening to the Heroes First podcast with Robert Garland. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. Make sure to like, rate, share, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to visit funthefirst.com and follow us on social media at funthefirst. See you next time.